This, my friends, is the Edifier Neobuds Pro 2, which is the newer version of the old one. And that one, having been the top of the line model in Edifier's catalog, it was like spec'd out and a hot seller when it first came out. So for 2023, the Pro 2 brings a few new things to the table, like spatial audio, newer Bluetooth version. But are those enough of a reason for you to plonk down your hard-earned cash here? Or are you better off with the older model or something else altogether? So let's try to answer that after these messages, and also after you click like and subscribe, of course. That way. This earbud actually comes with a protector for its logo on the case right here, and I was waiting for you guys to peel this back, but how different is that? Anyways, the Neobuds Pro 2 runs for $130 and it comes in black and ivory colorways. Most of the specs are similar to the previous Neobuds or the Neobuds Pro, such as the full noise cancellation suite, IP54 water dust resistance. There was one 10mm dynamic driver and one BA per side with the digital frequency crossover tech. It's all the same, but you know, with the digital frequency crossover, it doesn't tell me whether the frequency rolls off dynamically or is set to a fixed point. What is new this time around is wear detection, and has been upgraded to Bluetooth 5.3 with the same LDAC and LDUC support. There is also now spatial audio, 4 mics per side as opposed to 3 from the older version. And if you look closely at the case, which has a lot of shiny plastics on the inside here, it's relatively easy to clean, but it will get dirty pretty fast, especially on the shiny parts right there. The front right there, you can see this is where it's different. RGB lighting on the case, and it's customizable via the app to, I can't remember, I think it was 10 colors or something like that, but it is customizable. Battery life on the earbuds, it's about the same as the older versions, about 4.2 hours with ANC on at 65% volume during my time with it. Unfortunately, there's still no wireless charging. Now, looking at the earbuds themselves, it has quite a bit of shiny plastics as well. Let me try to focus on this. 5.5 grams per side, and yeah, for what it's worth, it still has the same angular design as the older version, and the case is also pretty much the same, except in the older one there was like this semi-quasi metal embellishment at the front here, but that's gone too. And speaking of which, let's do the shake test. Yeah, thumbs down to that. The case is nice, at least the lid locks in place pretty good, but the magnets on these, yeah. It's cold. It looks like it might pour anytime soon, so I'm going to try to make this quick, but if it rains, whatever. I have Everlong by the Fighters Who Fight Fu playing on my Pixel 7 Pro. It's an LDAC file or FLAC file running through the LDAC codec to the Neobuds Pro 2, so this will affect Bluetooth range, which is what we're testing right now. In case you're wondering, you're like, what's this idiot doing outdoors? So the phone is over there past the cooler there at the end of my deck, and so where I'm standing is around 25 feet away from it. With LDAC, I'm guessing it will drop, we'll get clipping somewhere around here. Yep, sure enough, it's around 30 feet. So I'm going to keep going until we get a full disconnect and see how long the signals cling to each other, or both devices cling to each other. It's pointless, it's a stupid exercise anyway, but I do it just for fun and so I can talk more. Anyways, you can see, yeah, it's disconnect. All right. You can see how these fit in my ears. They're nice and clean. They protrude maybe, I would say like 0.5 millimeter outside of my earlobe, so that's not bad. It's much smaller than something like, say, the Between 3A and C. That was a giant hunka, right? Anyways, let's run and check this out. I have some sciatica going on, so I'm gonna try to keep pounding as it's disconnected again. Keep it to a minimum. Pounding of all kinds, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, these things, they stay put. There's a slight wiggle in my right ear, but that's pretty common because the shape of my ear on the right is a little bit smaller, I think. Here comes the city bus. Great time to test some low frequencies as well as the high pitch whine from the diesel electric engine. Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3. How's that sound? Nah, not too hot, right? The Edifiers, I think they carried over the first gen's system, and so yeah, they need to work on this Edifier if you want to compete with like Soundcores and One Mores and Soundpeats. I think you really need to bump this area up. In quiet environments, totally fine, but when you're using this by the roadside or just running or going for a walk, yeah, it's kind of a slight garbled mess. One thing I do like though that the sound cores, even the latest ones, still don't do is when you get a phone call, if you're already in active noise cancellation mode, the system will shut off and go to pass through, so you're like not so, hunkered down and focus on your phone call like you shouldn't be. Like if you're walking through a parking lot or driving through a busy school and you get a phone call or something, yeah, you can hear what's going on, so nobody dies and nobody gets hurt. Anyways, let's head back to the studio. Real quickly, some things that I like about the Pro 2 are the build quality, the presentation as a whole, the feature set as well. And you can also tell that Edifier takes pride in the Neobuds Pro 2, from the selection of the materials to how they're put together. They're equally nice to look at as they are to hold in your hand. Now, another thing is, I was expecting the whole unboxing to be, the usual fare. You rip through the shrink wrap and then you free the device and accessories from the box, and then you're basically done. In this case, I was surprised to see some extra effort on Edifier's part to protect your precious purchase. Check this out, guys. Insulation 8 crate foam. It lines the top of the flap right here. It prevents your charging case from jostling around. And also, just in case, Edifier applied a clear sticker on top here to protect the logo on the lid. It's a little bit crazy, but also cool at the same time. So by moving to Bluetooth 5.3, the Pro 2 basically joins the likes of the Soundcore Liberty 4 or the OnePlus Buds Pro 2 in, for better or for worse, embracing the latest trends of 2023, i.e. head tracking, spatial audio, and high-res everything. And I know the first version did the whole high-res part, but it just refines it a little bit more here. The spatial audio piece is total hogwash to me, but for the high-res thing, I am so glad to see it more widely available now. Strictly in terms of audio, I'm going to pull out the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro as a talking example here, because both this and the Neobuds Pro 2, they're practically twinning. From the dynamic and BA driver setup to the high-res codec support, or even the MSRP, they're so alike, and of course, to how they sound. So if you've listened to or own a Liberty 3 Pro before, you'll be familiar with the sound of the Neobuds, except for a couple of big distinctions, and we're going to talk about it in a second. But overall, the Edifier sounds clean, has a good amount of width, and is fantastic with the right tracks. And expanding on that last bit a little bit more, so bass extension down in the sub-region is almost non-existent, but the low end is strong and composed nonetheless. Unfortunately, there's possibly maybe something up with the tuning on the BA drivers, or maybe it's the crossover algorithm, because these produce rather peaky treble. And some of you may like it, mistaking it for detail, but not me, because like genres like 80s music or brassy stuff tend to suppress the bass notes and sound downright harsh at like 85% volume or more. For example, let's take These Days by the Fighters Who Fight Fu as a talking point here. Each time Grohl builds up to the one of these days in the chorus, his C's and S's are so sharp, I'm sure some of my hairs in my ears were burnt off in the process. Yeah, the things I go through for you guys. But anyways, same thing with the hi-hat on that song. Quite a big turnoff actually. When it peaks, oh man, it really hurts. And by the way, switching to dynamic EQ preset makes that effect even worse. So I've been staying away from that preset like the plague. Now, I have to say that I was able to blunt that harshness as well as bring in a little bit more bass drop in the manual EQ by dropping the gain in the 7,000 to 8,000 range as well as boosting the bass by the same amount. But again, I normally present my final results based on factory settings, which is exactly why SQ is placed right here in the neutral section, because treble, depending on the song or the genre, really was the monkey wrench. It ruined it in what has been otherwise a fun party in my ears. As you got to hear a few minutes back, phone call quality, especially when it comes to noise suppression, especially when it's windy, rather sucks. Even though we now have 8 mics in total, 2 more than before. It's almost 2024 for crying out loud, and this is almost inexcusable at this point. In other words, look elsewhere if you plan on using your earphones to take a lot of outdoor calls. Indoors, totally fine. I hope Edifier considers shrinking the Neobuds' bulky stealth fighter design in the future. I mean, while it's not humongous by any stretch, I think, especially the case, it could use a little bit of a visual nip and tuck here and there. But at least for this year, you got flashy RGB lighting that gamers will probably enjoy playing around with, like, once or twice, and then totally never touch again. Well, in conclusion, the Neobuds Pro 2 is a little bit of a mixed bag, I have to say, because on one hand, it sounds and performs pretty darn well, aside from some of the issues I mentioned before. It's packed to the nines with 24-bit high-res support, spatial surround tech, and Google Fast Pair, among other things. But on the flip side, the entire package really doesn't move the needle all that much. It honestly feels like a mildly facelifted Neobuds Pro. So yeah, if your focus is SQ and active noise cancellation, the first gen is good enough, guys, costing only $100 nowadays. Even the pretty sweet Liberty 4 NC from Soundcore goes for the same price, so yeah, there's quite a good selection out there to choose from for $100. So the Neobuds Pro 2 gets a hesitant recommendation unless they really go on deep sale, like wait for Thanksgiving and see what happens. But until then, knowing Edifier and how they've been awesome this year in creating some really fantastic products, I can't wait for the next version. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what I do, guys, go and evangelize this channel. Tell your friends and family about GearUP, and remember to thumbs up if you like this video. Just like it to death, and also subscribe if you haven't already. And I just created a new YouTube membership thing. There's only one tier, so it's really not hard to figure out, and I'd like to present a few perks there for you guys, and so just go check it out and see if that's your thing. But whatever you do there really helps support this channel a lot. And remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, guys, because guess what? If you haven't seen the news, the world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Go do something good. Peace out. Whoosh.